Okay, so here we are. Brand new moment. Putting my stuff in the right place. So brand new moment. The Art of Unconditional Love was a series we started way back when, and we continue it now after 2 weeks. So yeah, everything is different, of course. Everything has been shaken up by the retreat and by having a break, in a certain sense, break of something, like something has had time to open, to let something occur, to who knows what happens. There might be even a hurricane running through your backyard. You just never know. And not that we think in terms of disaster, but what I'm actually stating here is that everything is new, it's brand new, and it's always right now. It's always this moment that we come back to. It's like it's always right here that we come back to. And whatever happened before, whatever you think your situation is about you, it has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with what is occurring in this holy instant, in this instant of totality. So this is where we gather, and if we say allow that to be right now, then it will happen. Then it just happens, and you will have an experience of that. You will have an experience of being here right now. And how do you distinguish, or how do you recognize that moment? It will be a moment in which nothing disrupts your peace, where you discover all is well. Everything is exactly as it should be. It's like it has nothing to do with form. It has nothing to do with place. It has nothing to do with my ideas about myself, with me thinking I'm something, or I'm a body, or whatever in a world. No. So all that can be released right now. And how do you release that? Because that is something else too. It's like, how do I get rid of my ideas? Well, forget it. You can't. How can I release my ideas? By releasing my attention from them, by releasing my engagement with them, by releasing the value I gave them, and releasing it just by seeing it. It's like, well, what do I got to lose? I might as well just drop the value that I gave it. So in order to see that it's just ideas, it's just meaningless ideas. It has nothing to do with truth, and it can never determine who I am. So what worth does it have, except living in a dream of denial, basically? So this is our start in the art of unconditional love. Like, how would you be able to experience unconditional love? Well, you will have to let go of your ideas first in order to see and recognize what you truly are. What you truly are is love. It is not something you do or make or give. It's in fact what you are. And it has nothing to do with anything else. It is the totality of you. And the totality of you is what perfect communication is what the universe is what God is. And so that is what is present here now, and not any other moment. So the music we just listened to was Moments in Love, and it's like, it is always that. It's always a moment in love. It is right here, right now. It's a moment in love. You cannot hold it, you cannot force it, you cannot make it, you cannot do it. No, it's just here. It's just here. It's just here. And it's a moment. So there's a new moment. Now there's a new moment to receive that. And this goes on and on. It's like there's no continuity in it. No, it is always right now. It's always right here. It is always new. That's why it's creative. It is not set. It is not form. It would be too slow to be form. So it's like it is what creation is. It extends. It does only that. It extends itself. So in this, allowing this to be your experience, you will have to let go of thoughts because you won't have time to think about what to think. So it's like that's a given. Release your ideas and you'll see that your mind will be even more active than ever, but not with chasing thoughts and trying to compare them or look for the best one. No, this is starting a creative flow from within. A creative flow that is creative in the sense it extends and it expands into itself, into infinity, of course. So it's like there's no limit in it. There's no limitation in it. So we already can practice this too with all kinds of experiences that we have in terms of breathing into infinity, moving into infinity, using movement into infinity. It's like extending into infinity. It's not about the movements, but it's to give you a more like an idea of what that would be, because it's like all a matter of say expansion, openness, receptivity, receiving it for yourself, letting that come in, allowing that to flow through you, not having any ideas about it or any goals with it, but to extend it, to give it away, to keep extending it, not being concerned about how that would fall, how that would work, how that has to be done. No, you allow in fact that flow to go through you without hesitation, with no doubt. If you would bring up doubt, it would stop. You suddenly deal with yourself. You find yourself in a conflict. It's like, wow, that was so great, but now what? So it's like, no, you don't even have to do that. So it's like this creative flow is flowing through you. And creative flow, it doesn't mean that you're going to make a lot of paintings. It's not about that. It's not bringing it back into form, into a three-dimensional necessity, you could say. No, the creative flow that I'm speaking about are creations of light, of recognition, of love, of that what you are extends itself. Now, practicing this, we do that today, and we do it in different ways. So one of them is a meditation. Another one is a moment of listening and actually getting acquainted with the idea of creative passion. We have master teacher for that. Then there's also one expression of Joel that gives us a deep insight into a certain topic. I'm going to reveal more of that in a moment. I really can't get to it now. I wouldn't be able to remember it, but I know it's there. And so just to start and slow down our tendency to, say, chase thoughts or to engage with them or to validate them or to give them value, to slow down that process, we're going to meditate. We're going to actually actively, you could call it active prayer. It's like an active prayer. Active prayer is keeping your mind ready, keeping that so much like bringing your mind in an expectancy of the birth of the next moment. And I love that expression because it's a creative process. So an active prayer is part of the, say, works of light, of the receptance of the love of God. So let's practice that. We made a video for that already. Michelle recites in French and I try to recite in English. God's healing voice protects all things today. Let us today attend the voice for God which speaks an ancient lesson, no more true today than any other day. Yet has this day been chosen as the time when we will seek and hear and learn and understand. Join me in hearing, for the voice for God tells us of things we cannot understand alone, nor learn apart. It is in this that all things are protected, and in this the healing of the voice for God is found. Your healing voice protects all things today, and so I leave all things to you. I need be anxious over nothing, for your voice will tell me what to do and where to go, to whom to speak and what to say to him, what thoughts to think, what words to give the world. The safety that I bring is given me. Father, your healing voice protects all things through me.
La voix guérissante de Dieu protège toutes choses aujourd'hui. Soyons attentifs aujourd'hui à la voix pour Dieu, qui parle d'une leçon ancienne, pas plus vraie aujourd'hui que toute autre journée. Or, ce jour a été choisi pour être le temps où nous allons chercher, entendre, apprendre et comprendre. Joins-toi à moi et entends, car la voix pour Dieu nous parle de choses que nous ne pouvons comprendre seuls, ni apprendre à part. C'est en cela que toutes choses sont protégées, et c'est en cela que se trouve la guérison de la voix pour Dieu. Ta voix guérissante protège toutes choses aujourd'hui. Donc, je te laisse toutes choses. Je n'ai pas besoin d'être anxieux et quoi que ce soit, car ta voix me dira quoi faire et où aller, à qui parler et quoi lui dire, quelle pensée avoir, quelle parole donner au monde. La sécurité que j'apporte m'est donnée. Père, ta voix protège toutes choses par moi.
All right. Thank you so much for joining in the meditation. So we continue and we have a full program. So I'm happy that you're here, that we continue with this, because it's a nice discovery to make. Title would be like The Art of Love. Now, why did that title come to me? It's like the art of love, you could say, is like the art of self-discovery, because if you recognize yourself to be love, love created you like itself. So if you start to recognize yourself as the love that you are, then that becomes obvious. It's like the art of self-discovery, you could say, the art of discovering who you truly are. Because love, the expression of that is what you are, it is not like we have to make art of that or something. So it's like the art part is then in recognizing that it is always right now, it's always here, and it's always within me, like it's happening in this moment, it's complete and whole, and it's happening within me. Now, to me, the discovery of love, me being love, like recognizing myself to be that, instead of having to do something for it, is very liberating. It's a very liberating idea. Because otherwise you have to be loving, or you have to be, and of course you are loving, and you are loved, and you know, all that is included. But the basic, the basic idea behind all of this, which is a true idea, is that you are what love is. So you might like some people, but you don't love them all. You might like them, but it doesn't mean that you have to love everyone or something. It's like, no, that's not what is required. It is, no, that selects itself, you could say. It's like you are being called to certain communication, and other communication is just not happening. Not that you wouldn't want it, but it's just not inspired. It's just not given. Is what I'm saying. So that makes it an interesting part of self-discovery, because the selection of who you're going to meet and when you're going to meet and what you're going to share, for instance, with anyone, is in fact given to you. If you start listening, it is given to you what to say, what to do. Now this is great. So there's one part. And the other part is that part where you still are looking for confirmation. You know this list with dependencies, for instance, like codependent relationships or codependent behavior, you could say. It's like you expect something from someone else, or you project something on someone else and think that's what love is, and you confuse it with love. So as long, you could say, as long as you think there's still somebody there that you need to love, or that determines whether you are loving or not by the reflections you get back, you're still caught in say a setup that has nothing to do with love. So it's like there will not be communication. Now this comes back to you in all kinds of ways. Joel will certainly tell us something about it, but I want to bring this idea in, and that's this. Like, why wouldn't there be communication here? And this with one another, with the ones that you meet? Why is there no communication going on? Why is, in fact, everything misinterpreted? Why is that always going wrong, you could say? Why is that so difficult and complex? Well, see, then in terms of self-realization, which is what we're say discovering, which we're on a path of self-discovery, of self-realization, with a capital S, self-realization. And this self-realization is the recognition of an all-inclusive and total idea about yourself, not about yourself, but the totality of you as love, that has literally nothing to project. It does not project. It doesn't need other characters for its confirmation. Now you say, like, well, that's a bit lonely. If there's nobody out there that I can show this to, that's not so good, or that's not so attractive. And then it's like, well, the self-realization that we're talking about is in fact your recognition of the Christ within you, if you want. We can use words for it. But in fact, discovering that you are the totality of everything. It's like not what you see, not what you think, not what you know, the totality of being. That is what you are. It's like that is on a deeper level than you are perceiving. It is on a soul level. It's like the soul recognition that you have with yourself, including your brothers including everything in fact, using everything to be reminded, or to come into an experience of heaven, of home. Like in heaven, in a state of heaven, there's no separation. There are not different things. There are not things with names. There are not separate objects. There's no yesterday and tomorrow. So it's like, no, there's only now. Like, you don't have to imagine it. I'm just inviting you to let go of all of the ideas that are not that. And this is something that we, if you read the assignment for today, is like, what is love and what is not love. In fact, is my discovery is this is not love. Like this human life that I've lived is not what love is. Because I still believe there are separate entities, separate objects. And that now I'm with you, I make you my idol. I make you to the greatest one. I love you, and this one I don't love so much. So I make this. I distinguish between what is lovable, what is not lovable, what is good, what is bad, what is repulsive, what is really attractive. I'm constantly doing that, as in your human experience of yourself. Now, to bring these opposites together, we practice meditation. We discover, like, wait a minute, I'm constantly still projecting things outside. Starting from an idea within me, I project it outside, and suddenly I have a relationship with it. It is there, and I do something with that. And this one pleases me, this one doesn't please me. This one is, way over. That's my ex. And this is my future. Like this. So you're constantly placing cause and effect apart. Now, in the art of self-realization or of love, it is like, this is going to change. No, this is going to fall into one moment, one place, which is right now. So it's all coming together. It's all coming together in me. There's no future, there's no yesterday. There's only the totality of what I am, and that communicates as one. There's only one of that. There's only one consciousness, we say. So this is the experience we're getting ready for. We're opening up for. We invite in as a total love experience, because we know that to be us. I know that to be me. In fact, what I call me is not even that, but I invite that. I recognize that to be the truth of me as soon as I get into the experience. So the invitation of that is then it will come closer to you every step that you release ideas about yourself, about what love is, about what God is, and all this. You know this, I share this a lot, but it's like that is the practice, that is the actual occurrence that is taking place. Now it seems like, well, it still didn't happen, or it might happen tomorrow, it might take some more time, and blah, blah, blah. You can even have ideas about that too. Now, in this art of love, in fact, you invite in the help that's necessary in order to speed this up, to make this, to allow this to happen. You don't make it happen, but you allow it to happen. But you need help with that, because you don't know yourself but as a description of yourself, as a definition of yourself, as an association of yourself. Like this and this and this is what I am. I'm located here, and this is what I do, and this is how I look. And that are my friends, and that are my, etc., etc. Because here's an extra layer, you could say, extra layer to discover. And it's here. No one can live the Christ life by willing or desiring to do so. Now this is fundamental. That's why I bring it in. No one can live the Christ life by willing or desiring to do so. Now, if that was it, then it was already accomplished. Living this life is not a matter of will, because if we could, everyone would like to live without the temptation of sin or disease. Everyone would like to be honest, until God comes through and makes itself felt in a person's consciousness. He cannot live by grace until God comes through and makes itself felt in a person's consciousness, he cannot live by grace. He must live under the law of man, and especially more under the law of the 10 Commandments. Although living under the commandments is only a step in human evolution, it is a necessary one in the experience of those human beings who have not yet been touched by the Spirit, because the alternative is living in violation of them, and this inevitably leads to destruction. We understand this. It's like, but I like this part. Living this life is not a matter of will, because if you could, everyone would like to live without the temptation of sin or disease. Everyone would like to be honest. So until God comes through and makes itself felt in a person's consciousness, he cannot live by grace. He must live under the law. Now see, this is what I liked. It's like this is a deeper layer of yourself where you get in touch with receiving that. It's like, I cannot do it. I want to practice, I want to blah, 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 get myself being better at it or something. It's like, and that's exactly what's not going to work. Now that seems to be very frustrating, because you're so willing to do that. And then it's like, well, that is not the way it comes to you. So that's why we say, like, you need to invite something in from outside your own ideas to speed up that process, to let it come in a whole new way to you. And this is what healing is, of course. This is what spiritual healing is. Like, in fact, a speed up of that process to let that come to you. The only necessity is willingness, it's like you have to ask for it. You have to be willing to receive that. And what does that mean, willing to be received, to want to receive that? Is to be willing for just a moment, to let other ideas that you value go, release the value that you give ideas. So that is, I thought that was a wonderful expression. That's why I brought it in. So going back to, here's the Bible. This is what I wanted to read. This is Matthew 3. Jesus went to John the Baptist, and he was baptized and went straightway out of the water. And lo, the heavens were opened unto him. And he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and lighting upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Now this part, you could say, like, why did you choose this? Like, why this? And that's what I'm gonna share a little bit about. Jesus was baptized. He went out of the water, and suddenly the heavens were opened unto him. And he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove, and alighting upon him. And a voice from heaven said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. So this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Now here's a moment in which the heavens open up. What is that? The heavens open up. You have an image of that, how that would look. Suddenly there's a dove coming down and sitting on your head, and all kinds of phenomena, lightning and woo. So it's like, is this what I can expect when I'm meditating? Is this what I'm expecting when I'm suddenly for a moment open? And so it's good to take a look at that, because of course this has to do with the art of love, with the art of self-discovery. And because it is like, what happens when you open your mind, when you open your consciousness for communication, for an active prayer with God, just like we practiced in the meditation. Like, what happens? It's like, what happens has nothing to do with your ideas about it, but it also doesn't take away that you can experience it. That is so great. Like you suddenly don't have to understand it, and it's completely fulfilling. And it bypasses your understanding complete, and yeah, absolutely. So here we are. We receive that for ourselves. The heavens open up in my consciousness. Suddenly there's light. There's a moment of release. There's a moment of light. There's a moment of communication. And suddenly my centers, or however I want to call it, are opening up too. My heart expands. The crown of my head might open up, as if a dove is sitting on it. So all this is in fact part of the art of love. It's like, let yourself be loved by the Father. Let yourself be loved. Receive that love for yourself. So you're the only one who can open your consciousness for that. And that is why I brought this idea in. It's like, I said it before this way, it's like just one drop of this well-pleasedness of God would put you in complete ecstasy. It's like just one little drop of well-pleasedness would be sufficient to completely be in complete light for a moment. It's always a moment in love. And it might seem that it has a lasting effect, but it will change too, because everything is new all the time. And it's not that God's love is not constant. It's totally constant, but it's always new. So you cannot bring back an old experience into your consciousness and hope it will work or something. It's like, if I already have an idea about how it should look, like how it would be when the heavens open up, if I already have an image, then I'm limiting myself. It is not form that you seek. What form can be a substitute for God the Father's love? What form can take the place of all the love in the divinity of God the Son? What form can take the place of all the love in the divinity of God the Son? What idol can make two of what is one? And can the limitless be limited? You do not want an idol, so it is never form you seek. What form can be a substitute for God the Father's love? What form can take the place of all the love in the divinity of God the Son? What idol can make two of what is one? What can the limitless be limited? And can the limitless be limited? Now here's an interesting idea, and I throw that in for now. Like, the interesting idea is here. It's like, as soon as I think that there's something that can be loved, then I'm still in an idolatry, you could say. It's like I'm actually thinking that there's someone else I can love. That's why that can never communicate. There's someone else. So it's not one, it's two. And the two need to come together, work together, communicate together as one. Well, if I think there's someone else in this, then I will not be able to experience love. I will not be able to experience oneness. This is suddenly there are two. Someone, me, loving someone else. So that never communicates. It cannot communicate. So that's a real eye-opener to me. It's like, that's always fascinating to me to deeply go into that. Because everything that we do and that we believe is based on an idea of loving your neighbor as yourself, as if there is such thing, something else. And I'm not saying that you should hate your neighbor, but all I'm saying is like the art of love is recognizing that this is all you. All you. You want to love your neighbor? Love yourself first. You accept that for yourself first. You completely love yourself first. If you let that love be total, you are loving your neighbor. In other words, it has only to do with recognizing, in fact, the art of love is then recognizing that I am that my love is always, it's like within me. It is my joining with my Father within me. It has nothing to do with someone else. I love my brother who is one with me, within me. There's no other brother to love in that sense. No, this love is taking place in me. It is literally accepting that relationship, that it is irreplaceable. It is how I am created. It is my birthright. It is my everything. It's my heritage. It is what I am. So that can never be in a two-sense setup. So experiencing that brings me into a holy relationship. This is what you read in the Course too. It's like it's a special relationship would be a trying to be in a relationship with someone else. But a holy relationship is a singular experience. It is you loving your Creator with all of your heart. Included into that is loving your neighbor as yourself, loving yourself. All of that. Like that is the art of love. That is what you will discover. That is what is your reality. That is where you would save yourself so much time in trying to find different ways to experience love. It's like always when you look outside, when you look for someone else to give that to you, you look in the wrong place. You can do this within you. Like this is the only place where you can find it. So you might as well start there. And that's like it saves you eons of suffering. Of course you know this, but it's great to express it and to be reminded of it. It always feels so liberating to me. It's unbelievable. I love it.
Contained in my ideas are the passion of my reality. This is what is being expressed here. Contained in your ideas until you evolve to the wholeness of you will be the limited passion of your conceptual association with yourself. It isn't that it's not passionate. It's just a projection of your mind rather than an extension. What are you doing? Studying the passion of the thought forms that you brought to this gathering. And you sit in that passion of your own self-identification. What do we call that? A relationship. That's perfectly all right. That's what it is a relationship. What is a relationship? An association of conceptual thought forms that constitute your apparent reality. Do you have that? Let me do it this way for you. All of space-time is only a relationship, isn't it? It is not creative in the sense that it does not extend from itself, but rather continually reassociates in definitions of its apparent situation in regard to its own reality. That's what you're doing right now. And that's, you see, when we talk of relationships, we're not saying don't be relational. Well, that's what you are, Israel. I watched you guys walk in. I watched you today at the party, establishing realities between you and attempting to communicate what? The passion of your self-expression, like unto God. Being what? Creative. Okay? Somebody said, why don't we talk about relationships? Okay, a relationship is what you are. Now, you can get tangled up in terms of specialness and holiness if you're doing the Course in Miracles. The difference between specialness, a special relationship, and a holy relationship is only time. A holy relationship, each moment, is whole unto itself in its apparent perceptual associations. Okay. A special relationship holds on to an identity in time association and performs acts of existence in order to tolerate itself in relationship with its apparent conflictual associations that are outside of it. What did he say? Would you mind repeating Get that? There's a lot of love in here. The reason I'm feeling passionate and some of you are confused is that there's a lot of love in here. And you can't feel it because you brought in your pain and grief. So if you let go of your own conceptual associations of pain and grief, which are what your resentment and identities are with God, you'll feel real happy and you'll be very passionate. To the point of embarrassment, and then you'll reduce your passion. Because you've forgotten, here's the big term for you, and I'm going to deal with it at a top level and bring it down. The other subject that came up is, what about sexuality? Okay, everybody goes, uh-oh. Okay. Sexuality. All objective space-time reality is only sexuality. Okay? It's the necessity for limited association to express itself to a passionate conclusion of what it is, even to union with God. Stop reducing sexuality to having sexual ideas. All ideas are inherently sexual. Can you hear this? Yes. If the necessity of your passion is self-expression, which is what God is, okay, sexuality is nothing but the necessity for the continuing perpetuation of yourself in association with your identity, by whatever means, by the passion of self-expression. Now, obviously, you've reduced it to a thought form, haven't you? What happens when you do this? You have passionate ideas instead of what? Being passionate ideas. You even limit God in His passion, which is nothing but creative purpose. And somehow you reduce it to sexuality, or the idea, the necessity for procreation, or the completion of the species in its limited thought form, rather than directing your passion to the creative purpose of self-expression. I guarantee you that there's as much sexual passion in drawing a picture as there is in copulation. Yes. It's you that reduce it.
Yes.
Excuse me, I don't mean to get so emphatic here, but that's a fact. The guy goes to a psychiatrist. His wife says, he says, doctor, he seems to be obsessed with sex. The doctor says, I'm going to give you a test. He says, you say the first thing that comes to your mind. He says, he says, elephant, sex. I'm going to go with sex. Sunset, sex. Sierra Desert, sex. On and on, 20 words. He finally turns to the guy and says, does it occur to you that you're responding sex to every word that I say? He says, if you don't want me to respond sex, you shouldn't say sexual things. What's sexual about the Sahara Desert? Everything. It's a creation of my own mind and the passion of the realization of me.
Yes.
If you guys wonder why you can't hear this, you cut yourself off at the waist.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk to this time. You fig leaf for this stuff. You fig leaf. You feel guilty about the original sin, which was nothing. This is the whole Course in Miracles. The necessity for you to miscreate makes you feel guilty, so you won't direct your own passion. Jesus says you're very, very fearful, finally, of your mind, which is nothing but passionate creative association. How did I get into this guy? So what are you doing? You're defining yourself by the necessity to create in your own mind. Okay? In some associations, it's held into what? A special relationship of self-identity and reduced to the capacity to retain in staticness that identity. Okay? When you come into new energy associations, many of you will express, you might as well look at it, this energy as sexual. It is. But remember, when we speak of sexuality, we are speaking with the capacity of union to God, expressed in the old great mystical Christian tradition of the uniting of a female with God, literally a marriage to God. Okay? Are you comfortable with that? Ones who are fearful of your own passions. Okay. Now, this appears to be a direction to what you would term eros, or free love, or expressions of totality outside of the establishment of your own reality. On the contrary, I'm very certain that all self-expression finally is in limitation is only self-gratification. It cannot not be, because it's the necessity for the passionate assertion or attack or defense of the limited association. In that case, love becomes passion, it becomes the passion of war, or the necessity to defend yourself. Is that different than the passion of love or what you got? No. No. Only in the form in which it comes into your limited mind associations. So indeed, this is a passionate undertaking. That's why we call it the passion. It's the passion of being dead and coming alive. It's the passion of birth. You see? It's the passion, finally, of seeking and finding the wholeness of you to assume or continue your creative function as you were created by God. Okay? Now, must you do that? That's what life is. The difficulty you have with your passion is the necessity to limit it to the focus of your self-identity based on the goal of cause and effect that you have established to keep your identity. You'll notice that passionate people usually become leaders because they are determined, if you look at this from a perceptual standpoint. You take a passionate general, if you've been watching this Civil War thing, who is not concerned about how many 10,000 men he kills in order to take that hill. That is expression of a passion, of a determination to bring about a result that he has in his mind. And many of you people will honor that as though somehow Robert E. Lee was not the murderer at Gettysburg. You'll say, no, he was a great general. Or all generals are defined as their willingness to create or to establish a goal they can complete at the expense of the association, because all limited association is attack and defense of death. Is that passionate? Sure. Your fate.
Okay, leaving it right here. So it is a great, great talk. This talk. So that was only 10 minutes, but you get the idea. It's like you get the idea of where this is about. So the passion that wants to express itself through you, this is what Master Teacher says too, is like the passion that wants, you cannot stop that. It's like you have a live passion that wants to come out and wants to express itself. Now, if I let that be unlimited, if I let that be just the way it is, it will express itself easily. If I try to put that in my limited frame of ideas, then it has to look a certain way, according to my plan. And that might not work out that well. That might be disastrous, and it is. That it needs to be unlimited in order for it to be total and to be real. So that's why in your dream you use this passion too, and you express it, and you give it a shot and try to make it work. And this with great force, in fact, you give everything to that. But the goal that you have in mind is not achievable. That is the only difference. So the art of love, and in fact comes back here then, the art of love is letting this passion of creation run through you in the recognition that you cannot determine what's supposed to happen with it, but you allow that to be total and to be completely expressed by you. In you could say. Now that is, it is a start what we make today. It's a start.